Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2, 3. That is, this is mic number 2. Mic number 2. Okay, so this is mic number 2. Is mic number 2 sounding pretty good? Going to switch over to mic number 1. I didn't do anything except have a couple of hush puppies. All right, this is mic number 1. That was mic number 2. This is mic number 1. So this is handheld mic number 1. Check 1, 2, 3. Does that sound good over there? This is mic number 2. Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs down. And then we got one more mic to test. All right, that's good. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, now this is wireless. This is the wireless mic. Okay, so then when I'm ready to go live, so we are streaming now. I've got 626. I'll shut all the mics off for the next 34 minutes, 33 minutes. Okay, so now it's on. Yeah, it's live. So if I were to go over there, I would be live, correct? And I'm still on the wireless mic. Still on the wireless. Still on the lapel mic. All right, staff test 1, 2. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. So which one is live right now? You are live. Okay, so the picture that is live is actually the one of the banner. Is that correct? The banner is what is live right now. Blink once for what blinks once for yes, twice for no. So I guess if you'll put it back on the Pack Power Media thing, and then when I'm ready to go live, I can just all right, so if you'll put so if I slide it, gonna move over here in the big chair. All right, so now that's what's live, and that's just gonna run until I slide it back over. So I'm literally by myself. I don't have Jacob here tonight. So when I turn it on, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna just go for as long as I can. Does that sound good or what? And then, like I said, man, I feel bad having to call you every Thursday to set this up. I need some kind of checklist, but I'm not going to be able to do commercials at all. So I mean, I'm literally just going to run from one segment right to the next. No break in between. And that's just hoping somebody shows up. So I guess cool, man. It's 6:30. We are good, and I will let you head off to church, and then I'll be at the store all day tomorrow. David's off, so I will be at the store all day tomorrow. Come on by. Bring me something spicy. Test 1 2, test 1 2 3, test 1 2 3. Test. Test. Hey, what's happening tonight, everybody? Welcome to the Pine Forest Trojan Coaches Show. We are coming to you live from Pedon's. Pedon's right here on MacArthur Road. So 488-1972 is the phone number for the freshest seafood, barbecue, chicken, French fries, scallops, hush puppies. Oh my gosh, I've had almost a whole basket. That's what you call that thing. Whole basket of hush puppies here tonight while I've been setting up, trying to get ready for this great coaches show. Back after a week hiatus because the Trojan football team was off last week. They'd gone 7 consecutive games in a row, and it's time for their break, which is a little different because normally they have their break after the last game of the season. So they've got 4 games left. We'll go through all of those games for Coach Bill Sochoka. We'll talk about the game 2 weeks ago, the heartbreaker at home versus Southview, where the Tigers scored with 15 seconds to go. We'll walk through that game, and then we'll talk about the upcoming game this week at conference-leading co-leader E.E. Smith High School. Big-time game at D.T. Carter Stadium. Kind of a must-win for the Trojans coming in on Friday night in order to keep pace. If they can knock off the Golden Bulls and Southview can knock off Cape Fear in their game at the Corral out there at Cape Fear Stadium, then all of a sudden there's going to be a 4 one-loss teams, 5 one-loss teams when you include Terry Sanford, and it is really going to be on over the last 3 weeks of the season. But again, we thank you for tuning in tonight. We're coming to you from Pedon Seafood and Catering, as we are every Wednesday night. Well, let's talk about a couple of other Trojan sports tonight. Just kicking off over at Cape Fear. We talked about the Colts football team, but how about that Colts soccer team hosting the Trojans tonight? Isaac Rancourt's kids tied for first place, 1 game up in the win column with Grays Creek. They are 14-3, 11-1 in the conference, and they've got 4 tough conference games remaining before the conference tournament starts on the 23rd. So they've got tonight at Cape Fear. Hopefully we'll have a couple of updates that'll be sent our way about how things are going at Cape Fear, where they have just kicked off for the all-important match. Cape Fear has 3 league losses. Grays Creek has 2 league losses, and the Trojans only with the single league loss. So a win tonight, it keeps them going, but they've still got a couple of tough games. They've got to go to E.E. Smith. They host Terry Sanford on Monday, and then they've got to go to Overhills on Wednesday night, a week from tonight. So 4 tough matches for Isaac Rancourt's kids in the next week to determine if they're going to be the number 1 seed in the conference championships that are going to get started on Monday the 23rd. So again, 4 big conference games tonight at Cape Fear going on as we speak, and then coming up at E.E. Smith, and that one will actually be on Monday night. Then on Thursday night they'll host Terry Sanford. That's going to be tomorrow night at E.E. Smith,
Monday night, they're going to host Terry Sanford, and then Thursday night, they go to Overhill. So big games for the Trojans. Root them on hard. Need them to bring home the bacon, so to speak, with that soccer conference championship. Moving along to tennis, how about the job Jarrett Britt has done? They have beaten everybody except Terry Sanford. The Bulldogs won their 14th conference championship in a row. Kind of ruined senior night last Thursday as the Bulldogs came over and shut out the Trojans 9-0. Did not hold a single court, did the Trojans, but that's okay because they're going to be number one on the 4A side of the bracket and the conference championships that start tomorrow. So right now at Terry Sanford, there is a conference-wide meeting going on amongst all the coaches. They're doing all the seeding. The 3A teams are going to be playing at Methodist starting tomorrow at 3 o'clock. The 4A teams are going to be playing at Pine Forest because they are your 4A conference champs beginning at 4 o'clock. So if you want to come see the Trojan tennis girls tomorrow, come on out 4 o'clock. They'll be the top two from the Trojans. The way tennis works is you get 2 singles players and 2 doubles teams into the conference championship. And then once the conference champion is decided either tomorrow or Friday, then they'll start dual team where they'll actually go head-to-head with another 4A team. And then they'll also start individual conference championship, regional, and then state championships. So a lot of tennis left to be played for the Lady Trojans on the tennis. So you want to be able to get out and watch them again tomorrow, 4 o'clock. The tennis conference championships, they take to the court at 4 o'clock there at Trojan Stadium. Volleyball, man, we got to give our hats off to the volleyball. Rough season last year. They have come back to 8-7 in the conference right now. They've got a match going on right now at Overhills. So that could either put them at 9-7 and solidly in 4th place, or a loss is going to drop the ladies back into a tie for 5th place, and that will really affect conference seeding as the conference championships start next week, next Monday. But you talk about volleyball, we've talked about the Colts on the soccer field, we've talked about them on the football field. Those Lady Colts on the hardwood have done an exceptional job this year, 21-3 overall, 16-0 in the conference. So clearly the class of the conference, but they never know. It's just like in football, you still got to lace up those shoes, you got to get it going, and so that will be what is happening starting Monday, the conference championship. Maybe we'll get a score in before the night's over with how they're doing at Overhills. Last team that's going right now is the girls golf team. So they have finished 3rd in the conference championships that were this week at Baywood. So they've already had their conference championship. They had it Monday at Baywood. Girls came in 3rd. Those Cape Fear Colts did it again. They were number 1, have been number 1 all season long. So the Cape Fear Colts win the girls golf championship. Pine Forest comes in 3rd. So they're going to start their 4A regionals on Monday the 16th. That's going to be at Pinehurst number 5. So you need to come out and watch Kennedy Whitener Mason. She is now number 8 in the conference in scoring. So she's been around 8, 9, or 10. Now she's up to number 8. Has really had a good end of the season. Good conference championships on Monday at Baywood. And so we got to get it, really root her on. She is the Trojan hope to be moving forward with the conference championships, or regional championships, excuse me. So lots going on. It's conference championship time all the way around with everything except for football. So again, soccer going on right now. Let's recap. Soccer right now tied for 1st place. Tomorrow night they're at E.E. Smith. Monday they're going to host Terry Sanford, and then Wednesday they're going to be on the road at Overhills. That conference tournament starts on the 23rd. Volleyball conference championships again start on Monday. We'll have, so hopefully after the last match tonight, we'll be able to post some seating information for you about where the Lady Trojans are going to be going. Tennis, again, that's tomorrow at Pine Forest Conference Championships. Once the conference championships have been decided, then this weekend the High School Athletic Association will get together and they'll seed everybody, and you'll know where the dual team are going to start. That's where they go head-to-head with another team. And then golf, we're really rooting for Kennedy Whitener Mason and her quest to bring home a state individual title to Pine Forest. So that's everything around Trojan Nation for other sports. Now, I believe it's time. If he hasn't eaten, he's over there drinking some lemonade. Coach, if you'll grab one of those two microphones over there on that side, we will get you started. I believe they are both hot. Let's
Hello?
go ahead and talk one more time.
Hello?
Yeah, I can see it over there. So good to see you, man. It's been a couple of weeks.
Yes, it has.
The team is off this week. So tell me about practice. How the kids doing last week during their off week, and ready to bounce back for what's going to be a tough conference game against E.E. Smith.
You know, usually when you have that bye week, it's tough because you kind of try to have them stay focused, motivated, because you don't have anybody to play. But even though we had a tough loss against Southview, that kind of left a bitter taste in their mouth. Probably one of the better practices I had my 23 years here at Pine Forest in terms of kids being focused on an off season. So we had a really good practice last week. Really good Monday practice, Tuesday practice. Today we're a little flat. Not the way I wanted to be going into a big game against Smith. So we're hoping this crazy fall weather had something to do with that.
Man, it's sweating in here at Pedon's as we're here, as we are every Wednesday night at Pedon's. But literally the lights are sweating. It's so much humidity in this room right here. But let's talk about the Southview game a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, the game was on the Mid-South Sports Network. You guys kind of came out a little flat. They kind of got ahead of you. But you guys made some adjustments and really got back in the game in the second half. You got down. What did you tell the kids at halftime that really kind of got them focused and had them believing in themselves when you came out in the second half?
Well, the biggest thing, it was almost like identical to what happened to us in the Westover game. It wasn't so much of what they were doing to us, it was what we were doing ourselves. We gave them 14 points, easy points on a kickoff team because we just weren't tackling really well. That was a big part of it. And then, our defense is a staff did a great halftime adjustment in stopping their run game. Our offense was moving the ball pretty decently. We just needed some big plays. We got some big plays on defense from turnover to turn into a touchdown, and then the onside kick that we got. So, like I said before, where we were at against Purnell Sweat to where we're at now in terms of them playing together as a team and playing with the purpose is like a big 360. And I told today that again, because of that 15 seconds that we couldn't stop then, now we're in a situation where the way the crazy brackets are now for playoffs, we really have to win out. And I don't even know if that's going to be enough to get us in just because of that one loss to Southie. But since Southie lost to Smith, we have to win out and hope that Southie loses again, that maybe we could jump ahead of them to be that 1-4-8 team that gets seeded in. And it's still an enigma to me.
Who knows?
Who
knows? It's the max preps rating.
You see people there get in at 2 and 4, and like how they get in at 2 and 4 when other teams have better records, but I guess that's why they're smarter than us, and I'm sitting here as a coach and they got the computer system. I guess.
I don't understand it either. We're here with Bill Sochoka talking about the game 2 weeks ago, the 36-31 loss. Let's talk about that. You guys are able to, you get the turnover, you're able to score the touchdown, and then the onside kick. What were you talking about to the guys about the onside kick? Because that was textbook bounce, odd bounce up over his hands. He tips it. You're able to recover to put you in position to take the lead.
Well, there was some discussion on the sideline from my assistant coaches of what we should do at that point, because I think there was only like 4 minutes left in the game when it happened. And because there was like, oh, we do a regular onside kick and give the ball at the 50, or do we kick it deep and let them run the clock out? So I just kind of played middleman and said, kick it deep, and we told our kicker, and I stood exactly where I wanted him to get it, because even earlier we had a chance just on a regular squib.
Sure, I remember.
To get it, and we just couldn't get it. It was just something we didn't want them, obviously, after having returning two, to return again. And we saw an opening, and Caleb Ryan did a great job kicking it in our return team, our kickoff team. I believe Juan Caldwell was the one that actually either wound up recovering it, or he's the one that tipped it, and then one of our other guys got it. But it was a big play. I just think, I think we got that ball back with 2 minutes left, like 2:50 left in the game, and I'm looking at the clock, and he's
How do you
taking
run it
time.
down?
I mean, I think when we scored, I think it was 3rd and 1. We gave it to Big Malik, and he went in, and it was just a great game, just a great fight. You can't when you walk away from a game like that. And of course, there's always things you could do better, but the effort that the kids gave us in the second half, and the quit and the desire, just really phenomenal.
Yeah, and that was we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. That was the pivotal game that you really needed to win. That's 4A against 4A in the conference. That gives you the leg up on the head-to-head, and that would have left you at 4-0 going into your off week, which really sets you up for the meteor schedule, because you got E. Smith, Cape Fear, Terry Sanford. I mean, there's no chump change there. There's no margin for error when you're looking at that. So, but you said the kids were disappointed, but they came out focused last week.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, they understood. I mean, even in a game like that they understood, because how close we are, and that builds so much confidence too. Because it's not like you get a game where you lose by, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and that's just happens. But they knew how good they are and how competitive they can be, and again, it's just little things. I mean, give them 14 points, you take those 2 kickoff returns, and there was other things that I could have done from a coaching point of view. I think there was 2 times where I decided to go for it when if I kicked the field goal, there were 6 points. So woulda, coulda, shoulda. But
maybe
my point being is it wasn't necessarily what they were doing to us, what we did to ourselves.
And I think it was really the one kickoff where you had Pemberton bottled up on your sideline.
3 guys.
It's like a rugby scrum, and then all of a sudden he squirts out like a watermelon seed, and he's gone.
Yep.
I mean, he's streaking over to the other sideline, and nobody could catch him. To me, that was the one, because you came back from everything else, but that was the one you couldn't overcome,
Right.
and ultimately left them in position where they were only a point down.
Right.
So great game again. I mean, that was their second nail biter in a row. They beat Westover with 30 seconds left. Come back, beat you guys on the road with 15 seconds left. Turning it over this week as we're talking the Pine Forest Coaches Show, talking to head coach Bill Sachoka this week, going to E. Smith. Man, we saw them last week for the first time, and those guys are pretty good. The same Southview team, they shut them out in the second half. I was looking at the stats as I was getting ready, because that's going to be Southview and Cape Fear's our game this week. They had 198 yards of rushing, and 77 was on one play. So they rushed 41 times for 120 yards against that E. Smith defense, and they really manhandled them on the offensive line, them being E. Smith, manhandling Southview, which you really don't expect. So when you look at them from an offensive point of view, your offense against their defense, what have you got to do to really get out and set the tone, to not put yourself behind the 8 ball again and start fast?
Well, the big thing that we saw on tape is that their defense is very similar to Westover. They do a lot of things that Westover does, where Westover had a lot of their guys going both ways in terms of their athletes. E. Smith doesn't. They kind of play what I call mayhem defense, where they rush a lot of guys, trying to mess everything right there in the backfield. They play a lot of man coverage. So we just we're game planning our strategy, what we could do against them. And we feel pretty confident. We're not going to really go away from what we do. We have a pretty decent run game, I think. And with Malik, Big Malik, my fullback, Levante Carter, and the other guys that we have, and my offense line does a really good job. They don't get a lot of credit, but when you look at it, they've gotten better through the whole season. So we're just really. We know what they're capable of doing, but we also know what we're capable of doing. So sometimes when you go to game plan, it's a matter of, do you game plan to try to run through their defense, or do you just do what you need to do and make them game plan to stop you?
Yeah, I mean, we see that on the college level. We look at what happened with LSU and Troy. I mean, the LSU lines up, and you can tell what they're going to do, and Troy's got 8 men on that side, and instead of running it to the backside, they're like, here, this is what we're going to do and stop us. And Troy stopped them.
Yep.
Hey, thanks, man, for paying us $1 million, and we came in here and kicked your butt in your own house.
Kind of like App State, Michigan, right?
So, but I mean, you talked about the running game. Levante Carter, #1 rusher in the county, 120 yards. Malik Daniels, I mean, he's just a first down and touchdown machine. when you hand him the ball, I mean, he's really a load to bring down.
Yeah, and that's we talked about this before. You don't see a big fullback anymore in any days. Everybody's in his spread. So, and that's the other thing. Sometimes old school sometimes could be something new, depending upon the type of defense you use. What's up front? Are you playing with a lot of big guys on your defensive line, or are you playing with small, quick guys? And, so we're pretty happy where we're at right now with our offense in terms of our running game. Our passing game is Richard McKeek is doing his best as he can. He's more of a short ball guy than he is a long ball. But we seem to always be competitive and put our positions in places where we're either winning or should be winning the game.
Yeah, and he was going to be the next player I highlighted. He's completing 50% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. How much has he improved since week 1, and really since he came back from the injury to where he is now with, like I said, the big 3 coming up for you over the next 3 weeks?
Well, with anything in sports, whether it's football, baseball, or life, you got to be coachable, and you got to be able to understand what your limitations are and what your talents are, and use those. And particularly in the Grays Creek game, I think we saw a big turnaround with Richard, where we told him, hey, if the pass is there, don't force it. He did it one time, it caused an interception. But the other time, he tucked the ball, ran it, got us some key first downs. Same thing in the Westover game, and even Friday night, in Southview, he ran the ball in for a touchdown that I think put us, no, it was a touchdown I think that we were able to come in within 1. We ran the option, Tucker ran, and he did a great job of getting the end zone. So we're really focusing on that and kind of making sure he understands that. And he's getting better, he's understanding what the scheme is, and especially when we deal with defense like Smith, they blitz very hard off the edge. They come very fast. So we're trying him not to force anything that's not there, and to be a little bit patient. Sometimes you blitz too much and run by the person,
sure,
and the hole opens up. So
take that step up, just hop right through and run on through. So, man, we turn and flip it over. I mean, their offense. I mean, Xavier Bullock. I mean, he is. I don't know if you call him a stud, but he's pretty good. I mean, he's been able to run the ball. He's able to pass the ball. 1,200 yards passing, 14 touchdown passes. A lot of his runs are just scrambles. He's very, very elusive and got a lot of speed.
yeah, I think when we game plan for their offense, I think he's the key to their offense. Obviously, he needs a good thrower, but I think in terms of his running ability, worries me most because you have to do what you can to cover their wide receivers. They're tall, they're athletic, but if he gets outside of that pocket, which should be a sack, it wind up being a big game and a touchdown. And he's got that ability to move. Very athletic. Coach Loren Donald's got him in the right position. We saw that last year when he played there as a junior, how much better he's gotten. So yeah, they do have some weapons, but it's a Smith Pine Forest game. It's their homecoming. There's a lot on stake for us. There's a lot on line for them as well in terms of where they want to be, obviously, in the conference. So it's going to be a very, very fun game.
I think so, and they've got to win and to keep pace with Cape Fear. Cape Fear's got to win to keep pace. So, like I said, you guys win, Southview wins all of a sudden, Pine Forest, Southview, Cape Fear, E. Smith, Terry Sanford, all with one conference loss with 3 games to play.
And everybody's got to play everybody but Cape Fear and Terry Sanford, right?
Terry Sanford and Cape Fear have already played, and Cape Fear holds the tiebreaker. So a lot of exciting football, folks. If you like good, exciting football, the next 4 weeks here in Cumberland County are going to be great. You talk about their wide receivers. We had the game against Southview. They won every jump ball. Every 50-50, their wide receivers came down with. So, you can tell there's some symmetry there between the quarterback and the receiver. He's got the confidence in those guys. If he throws it high, he knows they're going to go get it. So that makes him a little more dangerous, in my opinion.
A lot of times they don't have to. They're not necessarily reading the whole defense. They're just looking at one side. Is Mr. Hall taller than the other kid, and we're just going to throw it up and jump ball and go with it. If he throws it where only their guy could get it, and if he overthrows it, winds up going out of bounds, and only gets an interception. So they play pretty smart football, and I don't want to say basic, but a pretty smart, easy football, and that's why they've been successful with their offense.
Yeah, they on the kicking game they avoided Matthew Pemberton at all costs. I mean, they were not kicking to him at all. I mean, he's only got 5 touchdowns. Let's see, I was working on it today. Well, he's got 1 touchdown on the kickoff and 2 touchdowns on the punt return. Do you expect them to do the same with Levante? How do you overcome that? Do you insert somebody as an up man to try to sneak something by him and catch it on the run?
We saw with the Westover game. They kicked away from Vontae, but then they kicked to Jordan. Jordan Fergus was just. We have a lot of speed on our kickoff return team, so it's just a matter of picking their poison. And I don't know, Southview did a lot of obviously pooch kicking us, and they gave us a lot of a short field, which was to our advantage in that game. We didn't really have to drive down
right
a lot, but that helped us. Makes it easier for us. You could definitely change the field on them. So if they go that route, I think that favors what we do as an offense, and our ability to move the ball, 4 or 5 yards of product does, take time off, change the field, put their backs against the wall.
I mean, you look at the defense. The defense has been really strong because you gave up the 2 on the kickoff out of 36 points. There's 14 of them right there. So you change that up. So you got to be really proud of the defense. What's Jeff been doing, Jeff Houghton, on that side of the ball that has created those opportunities and those 3 and outs when you really need them?
I think the big thing was they weren't going to go away from what they did, so we had to adjust. And he really. It was funny when we drew up the defense. I remember one of the kids saying, "Coach, where did Coach Howard get this from?" I said, "Because that's the type of defense we used to play in high school and in grade school. It's called a 6-2. What do you mean? Yeah, before everybody used to throw the ball, they'd throw the ball 2 or 3 times to the tight end. You stack the box with that many people and say, hey, if you're not going to change, we're going to stop you." And that's what we did. And the other key thing was matching up key people. And a lot of times when you get into high school football, it's really anything is your matchups. Putting your best player on their best player, or taking advantage of their weak link, things like that. So they've done a really good job on the defensive side of the ball, adjusting it in the second half. We talked about that as coaches. When you go into a game plan, not only do you look at the team you're playing, but you also got to look at the coaches you're playing. How well do they adjust? Do they adjust at all? If they adjust very well, then you're kind of saying, okay, what am I going to have to do to make with the adjustment? If they don't adjust at all, then you know what you can do.
Right.
And that's a group effort from coaches up top and the headsets to the guys on the bottom, and communication is a big part. So that's what happened with us Friday night with the defensive side.
And you look at Deron Donald, E.E. Smith, he's only in his 2nd year as a head coach. When you look at the film, is he making the adjustments at halftime that he needs to make? I mean, 2nd year. I mean, think about when you were the 2nd year, still kind of trying to figure it all out.
We also don't forget Deron. He's been around a long time. He's been a DB coach. I think he was a defensive coordinator for Durham. He was at Smith or whatever. There is a connection, but he knows football. He played at Fayetteville State. Yeah, he's got some pretty good schemes on the defensive side of the ball. He does, when you're a coordinator, whether it's on a defensive side or offensive side of the ball, and you become a head coach, that doesn't leave. You're still looking for.
What do you have to do?
You want your coaches to coach, but you also want to be able to say, hey, you might want to look at this. Why we're doing this? Of course, that's why you're the head coach.
I mean, I just look back at the days, as you were coming up. You had you on one side, Richard Bailey on the other, Dean up at the top. I mean, did Dean allow you guys some input? Was he more of the CEO type like a Nick Saban, or how hands-on was he, and how did that influence your learning?
Well, that's a big part of it, because when we were on staff, pretty much, he let the defense do what we did. Even when I became defensive coordinator, we would come in, what's the game plan, we talk about it. Even afterwards, we discussed what we did good. But for the most part, he did what I try to do with my coaches, let them coach, and if they have something new, run it by me and try it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, let's go back to something else. So that was a big part of it in terms of what I got from Dean and when we coached with Dean. Because if you don't let your coaches, your assistant coach, you're wasting their time. And it becomes hard. You can't do this by yourself. I mean, in here.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not
there are
anymore.
people in here. There are people who try to do it like they used to do it, and it's not working out because kids are different.
Games faster,
Games
more
faster.
information, more film.
Right. You know, there was one person we played this year, and I told my coaching staff, I said, "What do you notice about them on the sideline?" I said, "What? Take a look. No headsets." I said, "That's to our advantage because they got nobody up top to make adjustments."
Right.
I said, "You can only see, especially when you play on our field, you can only see so much."
Because the way that crown is,
so
yep.
You could use that to your advantage, and if they don't have anybody up top looking to see what you're doing, and you make adjustments that they don't, or vice versa, that helps. And sometimes and so technology today with football and huddle and all these video, it's just amazing.
Because y'all were able to see video on the sidelines
Right.
now, are you not?
You just can't use a drone.
But you got a camera up top, and then you got an iPad.
And you have it. You get it right to your iPad. You tell the kids this is what we're doing. Kind of what you see on the sideline in the NFL. So it's important because that helps you make adjustments. Just one little. I think the tackle's lineman head up. No, but he's really inside. Well, let's run this. And if you don't have somebody up top to help you
Right.
adjust that, then
Doesn't work.
it doesn't work.
Doesn't help. So, big game for the Trojans this Friday night at E.E. Smith. As you just heard, it's homecoming, so the stands are going to be packed at Smith. Get there early, 7:30 kickoff. You'll be able to listen to the game. The Mid-South Sports Network will not be there, but if you're not going to be there, WIDU 1600 AM, the voice of the Golden Bulls, Glenn Adams, you'll be on the call, and it's always good. But, I always love going to Smith because, to me, they got the best food on the circuit. There's nothing against the pork chop sandwich, but for overall, the fish, the barbecue, the ribs that they've got over there, man, are just, I'm hungry just thinking about it.
I told my wife, I said, they've been going there for 23 years. You know how many times I eat their food?
0.
I
0.
smell it, but I don't have a chance to eat it.
Key to victory. Give me 2 keys for Friday night. What do you have to do on offense? What's one thing, the biggest thing you have to do on defense?
I think the biggest thing, was kind of in our Achilles heel the last 2 games. We can't give up big plays. I told Coach Rodney at the end of the game. He said, we can't spot your 14 points. And we did that with Westover, and this team's much better than Westover. So we can't do that with this team because their 14 points gives that team more confidence. It opens up their ability to do more things with their offense.
Sure.
They can take a lot more risk. Usually people get a little conservative. Sometimes when you're up 14, 21 points, like, okay, let's throw the kitchen sink at them and see what happens, within reason. So we got to be able not to give a big play up. We got to make them earn every inch. And we have to be smart on the offense at times. Take what we can get, manage the clock, and we can't leave any points on the ground. We got to go up points.
All right, there you go. This Friday night at E.E. Smith High School. Get there early, fans. I'm telling you, it's going to be packed. If it's their homecoming, you never know what they're going to have at the E.E. Smith homecoming, so you want to get there early. You got some players here, man. Who you got? Who are we going to talk to?
We brought some beef with us. We got Fred Potts. He's an offensive lineman, real key to my offensive lineman. We got Devontae Miller, defensive lineman, that went well. But I will tell you that we got Elijah Robinson, offensive lineman. Okay, then we got Fred's younger brother, Baby Potts. He's a 9th grader, so you might
Little Pot?
Well, we call him Baby Potts.
Baby Pot.
So, but really, Devontae and Fred said they wanted to speak. Elijah doesn't know how to speak. You didn't hear me say that. He's eating food. So, we always bring the skill guys, so we got to bring the guys up front.
You got to bring the beef.
Bring, muscle up and don't get a lot of recognition.
All right, so who's coming up here first? Come on. We do not have anybody here to help me tonight, so I'm totally by myself, folks, in case you're wondering why there's been no commercial breaks, because, one, there's nobody here to trigger the commercials. It's just me. Got here everything set up. So what's going on, big guy?
How you doing?
Tell everybody your name. Man, look at that camera. There's at least 2 people watching.
Hey, my name is Fred Potts.
What's your position?
I play right guard.
Right guard?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So what's the best thing about playing on the offensive line at Pine Forest High School?
You get the pancake people, throw them around. talk junk. It's really fun.
Who's the best D lineman you've gone up against this season?
I would say, Devontae.
All right, what makes him so good?
He gets them inside moves on me. They're hard to stop sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie.
All right, so how do you combat that, man? I mean, you talk junk to him, do you distract him,
Oh, I
tell him his
distract him.
shoelace is untied?
I do. I do. I talk junk to him, and he knows that too.
All right, so you guys, you were off last week. What'd you do Friday night? You didn't have a game. Did you go to watch another game somewhere?
Yes, sir. I went to watch Southview and E.E. Smith.
All right, what'd you think of the Golden Bulls?
They got a good quarterback.
They got a good quarterback, man. They do. Xavier Bullock, you know, he's completing 60% of his passes, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he's got what I call make a man miss moves.
Yeah.
So you got to wrap him up and do. But on the offensive line, man, what's the key for what you guys are doing for Levante or Jordan or any of those guys that are back there running Malik? Man, what's it like blocking from Malik? I mean, you got to get out of his way. He's going to run you over. You got any cleat marks? You got any cleat marks on your back?
Oh yes, I really do. I really do.
He's like the fridge.
He is.
How come we hadn't had him here this year? Oh, we did? Okay, I didn't know if you couldn't afford to feed him or not. That's why we don't bring him anymore. But we're here, man, because I think you're a senior.
Yes, sir.
You're a senior. Did you go to any camps this summer?
Yes, sir. I went to the ECU Big Man Camp.
All right. You might. And how'd they like you?
I don't know. They didn't talk to me much, but I had some odds though.
All
I
right.
had some odds.
So what have you now as the season's progressed? Have you had anybody? You sending tape to anybody? Putting things together to sell them on you and why they need to have you on their offensive line?
I'm putting tapes together, but I haven't sent them anything yet. But, hey, they give me
Best is still to come, huh? Where would you like to go?
Clemson University.
Clemson.
I would love to go to Clemson.
I hear you. Well, you can go. You just may not play football. I think you can play football with those boys that are going up against Dexter Lawrence every day in practice. He's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
He's a beast, man. He would look good in that red and white. But
He's a bigger in person.
oh, I'm sure. But you got E.E. Smith coming up this week. You've seen them on tape, I know. You got Kyle Fennell at the defensive end, and let's see. You got Kyle Fennell at the defensive end, and then Kari Carrington at that defensive tackle. Man, when those guys line up, what do you see, and how does that translate into what you need to do without giving away the game plan? Because I know coaches over there.
Well, I know they play with one nose, and they do that twisting a lot. So all I tell my old lineman is watch for the blitz, and we're going to have to communicate because that kind of defense is a little confusing. So we have to stay aware, keep our eyes up, and just look for that sneaky linebacker that always gets to play.
So then that's usually either Jerry Davis or Jelani Smith sneaking up to the line of scrimmage. I mean, they do a good job of disguising what they do. So how do you guys communicate? You just talked about that. Do y'all do hand signals? Have you got a call, a word that says that means what your coverage is going to be, without saying the word? I mean, just I got Coach back over here.
Yeah.
Don't make him throw a hush puppy at us.
Yeah, we have some words. I would be like, have my inside
Google
and things like that. Yeah, just being loud and just keeping them aware. And I got little code names like EE, DD, and things like that.
All right. Well, I guess those are your other offensive linemen.
Yes, sir.
All right. Very good. How you doing in school?
I'm doing good.
What's your GPA?
3.1.
Well, that's better than the average bear. What's your favorite subject?
I would say English. I love English.
So what do you, other than playing football, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to work in the NFL. I want to be a sports marketer. I really do.
All right. All right. Well, all that sounds good, man. You just got to work hard. I assume your dream is to play on Sundays.
So, man, yeah,
You know what you got to do to play on Sunday, don't you?
work hard.
You got to play on Saturday somewhere. Because if you got talent, the NFL will find you. But in order to play, you've got to play somewhere on Saturdays.
You're right.
So you keep working hard and be in that weight room. First man there, last one to leave.
Yes, sir.
All right. to play hard this week. No sacks. I don't want to hear about any sacks. Because they got they've got, let's say, 16 and a half sacks so far due to the Golden Bulls this season. So they really get after them.
They haven't played Palm Forest yet.
They haven't played Pine Forest yet. That's exactly right.
Good job, Fred.
Very good, very good. So Fred Potts, let's give it up for Fred. Who we got next? Come on. Don't rush me. We're here at Peden Seafood and Catering over here on MacArthur Road, man. Everybody's getting them some grub on, but me. Everybody's over there. So, you're losing some potato salad, man. Can you believe that? It's like he waited for you to get up and leave. Man, that was the sneak. I wish we had an instant replay on that. See Coach coming in with the fork with the potato salad. But, man, tell everybody your name. Look right there in the camera. There's 4 people watching now because Mr. Potts did such a good job.
I'm Devontae Miller.
What position you play?
Defensive end.
Defensive end, man. So you've got to worry about containment coming up this week on Xavier Bullock. What's the key to keeping him in that pocket where your other guys where you got help?
Well, we just can't flow too far upfield. We gotta stay in our lanes and make sure we don't give him lanes to run.
I mean, he's pretty elusive, man. He's got wheels. I mean, when he tucks and runs, he can leave you in the dust. So when you see that, so you talk about not going too far up the field, giving him some lanes. That means your other defensive guys have really got to fill in and fill their lane. We saw the E. Smith last week against Southview, and Southview had a pretty good defensive line, we thought, but I mean he just kind of carved them up. It wasn't even close. All right, so you had a good game against Southview, but came up on the short end of the stick. What was your focus last week in practice doing your off week?
Just working on tackling, keeping our feet moving.
Going through the ball, go through the ball carrier. Tell us about your stats this year. What have you got, man? How many tackles? How many sacks you got? How many times you done the sack dance?
I don't dance a lot, but I think overall I have like 6 or 7 sacks, like 31 tackles. I don't know. I haven't looked at the stat sheet.
Come on, man. You ain't looked at. You know how many tackles you got. Man, when I was playing out, they didn't even keep stats back then. I mean, they kept them with a pencil and a rock. We played with leather helmets. I mean, when Coach played, they don't even think they used face masks. I mean, look, would you think they used face masks when he played?
They did. That's why I got married.
But when you look at it, what's your focus? What's your number one priority come Friday night at E. Smith?
Attacking the ball, keeping contained.
They got a couple of pretty good running backs too, and Rashawn Young and Jalen Locklear. Rashawn hadn't played a whole lot in a couple of weeks, but I mean Jalen Locklear is about 5'4", man, like a little water bug the way he hops around and jumps. I mean the wheels all the way around. So you're a senior.
Yes, sir.
So did you go to any camps this summer? I see you got OU on. Tough games Saturday, man. Going down to Ohio State. So which camps did you go to?
I went to South Carolina State. And
All right. Anybody really talk to you, ask you to send them film?
never did.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. What's your favorite subject in school? English. 2 English lovers. Wow, my mom would be so proud, man. My mom was an English teacher. And other than playing football on Sundays, man, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to go to school for business.
All right. What's the best thing about playing defense for Coach Jeff? Because he ain't here. You can talk about it.
Best thing about it is just we're very aggressive. He tells us every day to play defense. You gotta have that dog. If you got the dog, you shouldn't be in the
There you go. He's exactly right, man. So a big game coming up for the Trojans Friday night at E. Smith, D.T. Carter Stadium, a field I know really, really well from my playing days there. The undefeated in-conference Golden Bulls against the one-loss Pine Forest Trojans. Pine Forest, as Bill Choka said earlier, really has to win out. They've got to win tough games at E. Smith. Next week, homecoming against Cape Fear, then go on the road to Terry Sanford. in order to keep pace in the conference race, man. What's your prediction this week? You want to go out there and win? All right, sounds good. All right, Coach, we got a couple minutes left. We want to get one more up, or is that it?
Baby Pots, want to go up there? Come on, go up there.
All right, man. Have a big game on Friday now. Got Baby Pots, the 9th grader, freshman. Come on up here, BP.
4 years of that, because he'll tell you that the whole time, Baby Pots.
Uh-huh. So freshman, man, you playing varsity or you just eating varsity? You playing varsity? He's what?
He started as a freshman, 9th grader before.
I know. Yeah, speak into the microphone now. Don't be scared.
Okay.
Tell everybody your name. Because I know it's not Baby Pots.
My name is Isaiah Potts.
Isaiah Potts.
Yeah.
And you're a defensive tackle?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's the best thing about playing defense, man? You got a big game coming up with an elusive quarterback.
Using my hands a lot. I like using my hands a lot and making tackles in the backfield, TFLs.
Tackles for loss. I like them, man. What's been your best game so far as a freshman this year? Because you couldn't have been a freshman last year. I know. I hear you out there.
I think it was Grace Creek was my best game.
All right. That's good. I mean, they're a big running team. So last week against 2 weeks ago against Southview, man, tough game. What could you have done better at your position to win your one-on-one matchup? Because they got a big offensive line.
Yeah, but being more faster, I got tired. I got tired. I'm not going to lie. We all got tired. We wasn't really disciplined, so we all got tired but I could have got more faster off the ball.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Looks like you've been hitting the weight room. What are you benching?
My max right now, 225.
All right, as a freshman, that ain't bad. You got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at the other defensive linemen, I mean, when you look at Harold, when you look at Lamont, have you met those guys? Are they coming and giving you any pointers? What you need to focus on?
I talked to Harold. That was it. He just told me to keep grinding, keep doing good in school, because education's first.
Education for how are you doing in school?
Good.
All right, freshman's a tough year, man. I remember, man, I almost flunked my freshman year.
Yeah.
I did, man. I was playing 3 sports. I played football, basketball, and baseball. I mean, it was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I really admit it, man. So he's exactly right. So have you had a chance to go to see Harold play, or have you gone over with Coach to see Matthew play at all for Furman?
No, sir.
No.
I'm looking forward to though. Matt was a real good.
Matt was real good.
Yeah.
I played at NC State a couple of weeks ago. How they doing, Bill?
They're actually 3-3 now.
3-3. So they're into their conference season. So
2-1 in their conference.
so there you go. When you look at the who you got to go up against this week, because Smith really manhandled, they really stuffed the Cape Fear defense. What do you got to do to beat your man this week?
Get off the ball aggressive, real aggressive.
All right.
Show them that I'm not going to get pushed around.
All right, because their offensive line's not that big. Not that big at all. All right, so that's Isaiah Potts right here. Baby Potts is what they call him. Why Baby Potts?
I guess because I'm the younger brother.
Because you're the baby?
Yeah.
All right, man, looking for big things from you Friday night.
Yes, sir.
All right, go finish that over there, man, before
He's
he...
already done.
He's already done. You can just set that right there, man. Looking for seconds. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. So, again, we cover a lot of information here this week. Cape Fear, anybody heard a score on the Cape Fear soccer game? No. Nothing on the Twitter feed. So, let's go Trojans. Again, volleyball is going on right now at Overhills. Tomorrow, tennis will be at home with the conference championships. So the Patriot Athletic Conference 4A championship starting at 4 o'clock tomorrow at Pine Forest. Golf, the 4A regionals will be at Pinehurst number 5 starting Monday. And then again, the big game, E. Smith Homecoming, the Trojans will invade D.T. Carter Stadium, 7:30 this Friday night. So for the Pine Forest Coaches Show, for Coach Phil Sochoka, all the players you've met tonight, thanks for tuning in on YouTube. I'm Billy Mack. Have a great week, folks, and we'll see you next week.